All right, so today we are going to be installing these super nice steps on our Airstream and replacing those junkers. So we're going to get into this video here in just a second. I've got a friend with me. His name's Greg. He's a little bit more mechanically inclined than I am, so he's going to be helping me out, even though it doesn't look too complicated. So the old steps on the Airstream, you can see, are only bolted in by those 2 bolts. So the new steps are slightly narrower, as you see, but these are going to bolt like this onto the side of the steps. And it looks like they're going to line up perfectly. All right, so we're going to get this first set of bolts off here. There we go. So there's that guy coming out. There we go. And there's really only 4 bolts. There's only 4 bolts that hold the factory step into this. All right, so now that we got the steps off, it says in the instructions you got to pull the little, what'd you call them? Little nut inserts?
Yeah.
Nutserts or whatever?
Yeah.
So you pull those guys out, which they just pry off. There we go. There's just 4 to come out. And then right here in the instructions, it's saying that there's a jack that you have to relocate on the Bambi, which is true, but my jack's all the way back here. So for us, I don't have to mess with this, but they do give you a bracket so you can actually move it out of the way of your steps. But yeah, we got lucky on this one. All right, so I'm gonna go through the instructions here a little bit because I wanna mention a couple things. So obviously with this, we are a Bambi, well, we're a sport, but this showing you removing those, and it also tells you to remove those little inserts that we got. Right here, you can see those inserts coming out, and then it shows you what it should look like, but it doesn't show you the bolt pattern. That's what it should look like. So you got the star washer, then the washer, then the plate. And you can actually see a diagram if you go 1 page forward a little bit, but it's not super clear. So yeah, that's how we're gonna put those in there. There we go. And you can see the 2 of them dangling from the frame there. We got 2 more on this side. And then we're gonna have an extra one because we're not gonna have to use the jack relocation plate. There we go. So then they actually give you these little nylon retainers that stay up there out of the way, so when you push the steps into place, you don't knock your bolts out of place. That's kind of nice. Just holds them in place for you. All right, so now that we got all of these in place and held in place by their nylon washers, you got to use both instructions on this because it'll actually show you a diagram of the bolts that are mounting. You mount these first to the steps and then hold them in place. And it doesn't mention which bolts go where because there's obviously a front and a back. But if you read, you can tell that the flush countersunk one goes up front and then the Allen head bolt goes in the back. And you can actually see how it's cut out for it there, but it's not super descriptive. But that is how they go after much reading. And then we're gonna go middle hole here. So to give us a little bit, I'm a very low trailer, so I don't want it to be too far down. All right, so we got the first bracket loosely attached here. And we're just gonna barely get it snugged down because you actually have some adjustment forward to back. So we're gonna get this loosely tightened down and then we'll slide it up in here and before we tighten everything down and make sure we get it front to back where we need it. All right, so we got both brackets on and they are still loose until we get it up in there. We're gonna slide it up in there, hold it in, and at least get a couple of bolts on so it ain't gonna fall on us. Get it? There we go. Got it? Mm-hmm. All right, so we got these bad boys in here, and I will say, getting these top bolts tightened up in the front were fun. They are in a very hard to get to spot. Now we're tightening up the side bolts here on the steps, but you can see that looks super nice. But yeah, a little tip, this guy right here, the only way we were able to find to get to it is just with a, what is this, 9/16 wrench, and to go in from right behind this bar right here and go right in that way. But man, it is a super tight spot, super tight squeeze to get those tightened down. And now we're just tightening down that one. All right, so we got everything installed, and I'm gonna show you how this works. And this is very, very, very solid. So I'm pretty impressed with this. To get it in, you simply just fold it up, and then it actually lifts up. So push it up and in, and it's locked into place. That's so much easier. Well, that, I mean, you can't really take that as an example because that was, it's not how that's supposed to be. But yeah, and then you just literally unlock right there, pull out, and then the feet come down with it. That's so sturdy. And then you can adjust these too. So you can actually take that up or down 4 notches. Wow. So this has to be the single biggest upgrade we've done on the Airstream yet. Like, the battery box looks great, looks awesome. Love that upgrade. But this is such a functional upgrade. It's just, we use it every single time we go in and out. It's gonna not shake the trailer around when you step in and out of it. And it's just, it's not my little ghetto steps anymore. So, you know, that looks a little bit better. But let me give you a closer look at the finished install. All right, so looking at the finished install here, this is what I was talking about with the adjustments on the feet. You've got plenty of adjustments there. I'm all the way up, but this is also a very short trailer. And then this little guy just literally just pops on there. That is the Dirt Destroyer, which is cool. Brush your feet off. And then if you look up in here, the finished install, you've got the bolts right there using the factory holes. And then they use the hardware they supply you for the other side on the top. And then they're just bolted into the bracket. And then here is the locking mechanism right there. Super nice. And if you have a Bambi, you're gonna have to move your jack, because it also says there's a jack right here, right next to it. On the Sports, my jack is all the way back here. So this is a 2014 Sport, and this is the Bambi steps, and they fit absolutely perfectly. And there you go, there they are, all packed away in there, super sleek. And it's about the same drop as the other one. It doesn't really hang down any lower. That is nice. And then there is your lock. You pull those out and pull it out. Boy, that's nice. All right, well, that wraps up this install of those fantastic steps from Torklift. And I want to give a huge thank you to Torklift for sending out those fantastic steps, the battery box and the propane tank lock, and getting this build going. And this thing is really starting to take shape. Those steps, best upgrade yet. And if you guys have an Airstream with those steel steps on them like ours, with the Sports, the newer Bambis and stuff like that, definitely get yourself a set of these steps. They are a game changer. Easy to put away, easy to pull out, super solid, huge game changer. Best upgrade to the Airstream yet. And if you guys are looking for a set of these steps, we have a promo code, link in the description below, and I'll put it right up here in the corner. Definitely check them out. Great products. The battery boxes, the steps, they sell steps for a bunch of different floor plans models. The propane lock is going to be great. It's awesome. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all for watching. This is just the start of this series, and I am super excited for what's coming next, because it's going to be getting this thing ready for some off-grid camping. So much to come. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in a couple days.